Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're working on my daily driver, hopefully the last project, or the second to last project I have in this one for a little while, but we're going to be installing the tonneau cover today. Should be a fun video. Again, I'm doing this just so that if there's somebody out there that was curious about this tonneau cover, or was just curious what tonneau covers installs look like, they can reference this video if they needed to. But anyways, let's get started. Should be a quick one. Alright, so I bought the BakFlip MX4 tonneau cover off of, I think, realtruck.com if I remember correctly. I'm not sponsored by this video in any ways. I did pay for this 100% with my own money, but we're going to go ahead and give this thing an install. I liked this tonneau cover when I was doing my research for them because it gives you the option to open all of the way instead of only opening 2/3, so it should be fun. I've got the box in the back of my truck, so let's go ahead and take you guys out there, look at the box, and look at how this thing comes packaged. Alright, so first things first with this, the box came extremely well packaged. Everything was in its own little individual bags, which is a nice touch for the different components to have them separated and organized like that. And there's plenty of padding inside the box, so I'm sure there's going to be no damage on any of these components when we go to installing them. When you get it out, the first thing you have to install is the side rails. They're the two long rails, they're the only two in there. They mount to the bed using these little clamps here. There's a little rib surface in there and then a nut on the end of a screw here to pull these together, and these are going to mount evenly spaced along the bed rails. If you have a bed liner top like I have here, you don't need to do weather stripping. It comes with a rubber seal here, but if you don't, you're going to need to put down an extra piece of weather stripping onto your truck. They do include it if you do need it. Anyways, this nut is 9/16, so if you are looking at this prior to doing this install yourself, you're going to need a 9/16 wrench or a 9/16 socket and socket wrench to install this. But let's knock out these rails and these little clamps first. Alright, so we got those rails in, easy enough. There's 3 of those little clamps for each side of it. Just make sure you equally space them. I did one on both ends and then one in the middle-ish of the clamp there. It doesn't really matter too much. You don't have to like measure anything. You can if you want to, but just kind of equally space those out over there and clamp them down, put them snug. Don't tighten them like with Superman strength because you have obviously the chance of ripping those bolts out, and I don't even want to think about trying to replace one of those. But put them snug and they'll be okay. Alright, so the next step is to install these little buckles onto the cover itself. These are just little plastic buckles with a little waterproof strip on it. There are machine screws and then a little nutsert thing that goes on the back side of the cover. Just make sure you can do this, that the buckles face towards the tailgate so that when you latch it and you want to buckle it closed, you can actually reach the buckle. Also, when you do this, make sure you use a handheld screwdriver, not like an electric one or anything like that. If you use an electric, there's a high likelihood that you're going to strip these out inside those little holes there. All right, we got those buckles installed. Now the next step is to put the cover into place. So this is going by super quickly. Let's go and throw it up there. All right, with the cover up where it needs to be with the bolts going through the little steel bracket, the next thing is to just tighten them down. They include a little rubber washer, a steel washer, and a lock washer, in addition to this little plastic wig nut thing. The order there is rubber, steel, then lock, and then the plastic nut here. Put those on there from the bottom, tighten it down by hand, and get it nice and snug. Now I did go back through because I realized I made a mistake, and I forgot to install the weather stripping at the very front of the truck. So I went through and just adhered the weather stripping up at the front to give a nice tight seal along the cab divider between where the cab starts and the truck bed begins. Anyways, let's go ahead and shove these little nuts on there, and we'll lock the cover back down. Alright, so the next step before I close the cover is going to be install these little drain tubes. They include two of these little, they look about an inch diameter plastic tubes. These go on either sides of the rails. There's a little nipple at the very front of it there that you press this over, and then you drill a hole in, on a Ford anyways, on the very bottom of the bed there are two plastic grommets. You drill a hole through those, and that's what this feeds through. So I gotta go get a drill bit, and then we're going to install these real quick. Alright, so as you guys can see here, we got the cover entirely installed. I think it looks great. The seal along this thing looks perfect. It fit perfectly, and I'm really excited to have a place to do dry storage in the back of my truck. I think for a future project, I'm probably going to build a truck bed divider to go back here so that I can like section this off. Say if I wanted to use this to carry groceries or something like that, I'll have the ability to put something at like the front foot of the bed, but I'm going to have to design something that can go around the other stuff that's located in there. So that might be a future video whenever I get around to it. Anyways, let me show you guys what this cover is, give you guys a close-up of the install and how it works. Alright, so first off, for how it works, you can see when the tailgate is closed, you cannot access the latches. Take down the tailgate, and underneath here there are two cables, one on each side. You can just come up and grab either one of them, and it actuates both of the locks. You pull it, and it flips, like so. And if you wanted to run it in this condition, wide open, you know, 2/3 open, say something was in the back front of the truck, and you needed it like this, there are some little buckles here, which can clip down to like that. So you can run this 2/3 the way open if you wanted to. And when not in use, the buckles just store like so. Now what's really cool, and the reason why I went with the BakFlip brand over one of the others, was for this feature here. In the event that I ever need to carry something very large, this gives me access to about 95% of the bed. There's only like 6 inches up here where all the clamps are, and then everything else is wide open. So if I really had to carry something big, I have that functionality still. If you need to drive like this, they include a prop rod located on each side of the truck here. It goes up here. You unscrew this little latch and pull it down nice and tight. Tighten it back down, and you can see now that the cover will not move while you're driving. Again, a nice feature, and literally the biggest feature for why I wanted this cover and not one of the other ones that's available. Simply unscrew this and put the cover rod back down, and away you go. Let me show you guys what this looks like. These are the rails I was talking about. You can see them on either side of the truck. These are what you clamp in when you first do this. Inside these is a channel which runs the water down to those tubes, and then down through those little plastic grommets that Ford provided, and then out onto the ground, hopefully providing you a perfectly dry bed in here. So that, combined with all of the different weather stripping and all the different rubber seals, should make this a completely dry cargo storage area. The cover flops down and locks into place, and you can obviously do this from outside of the truck. You don't have to be inside the truck bed. As you saw, it's completely one-handed, one-sided operation. Flip it the rest of the way down, lock the tailgate, and now nobody can get into the back of your truck. Again, another reason why I went with a hard flip tonneau cover instead of a soft one is because I wanted a little bit extra protection. I didn't want somebody to be able to come through with a knife and just get through this super easily. Obviously, you can still brute force your way through this if you really wanted to, but this is at least a lot harder to get through than the vinyl ones are, and it should work perfectly fine. It's got a nice aluminum texturized finish on it. It looks pretty nice and high quality, and I'm hopeful that it'll last a really long time, or at least as long as I have this truck, which it's going to be several more years at this point. So anyways, that's the BakFlip MX4 tonneau cover install. I'll give you guys a longer review of it after I've had it for a few months, and I can really put it through its paces and see how it holds up. But overall, a very simple install, and I'm pretty happy with how this all looks, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to have dry cargo storage now in the back of my truck. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Like I said, I might have one more coming on this truck to do that bed divider, and I might make bumpers for this truck at some point. Who knows? I have damaged my rear bumper by hitting it into stuff, so I might remake bumpers just to give myself a fresh bumper that's not all dented up. But it's, at the end of the day, it's a truck. It does truck things. I'm not that worried about small dents. Anyways, I hope you guys like that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.